Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. I'm TCaptainX. Season 5 of Call of Duty Warzone is finally here, and after reading these patch notes, I'm honestly pretty excited for this season. We've got some new weapons, some weapon balancing, a new map coming to Resurgence, and finally, some buffs to the movement in Warzone and Call of Duty. So let's jump right in here and start with the very first thing they're saying is they are prioritizing addressing the stability of the game, have better servers and all those things like that. So hopefully that is something we definitely see here. Of course, we're going to have that new battle pass this season. There is a black cell variant that has additional operators and blueprints if you choose to do that. There's a new shadow company here with Arthur. One of the big things coming is there are now pets in Warzone. So you can have a dog. He doesn't really do anything or run around with you. It sounds like it's just going to be a finishing move. However, if you have that finishing move equipped, then that dog's gonna like be on your backpack, sort of, from what I'm understanding, which seems like a cool little idea. There's also a new battle buddy, which this sounds kind of like an AI almost, where it's kind of, instead of the in-game announcer, you're gonna have your battle buddy, which it sounds like this is equipped as a gun screen. When you customize your gun and you add that gun screen to it, that's how you get this battle buddy. And this was part of, I think, the Black Cell bundle. Several new operators here. There's Oz. We've got Graves, which Graves was from the MW2 campaign. If you remember, this was like the bad guy that kind of turned on them at the last moment. Mila and Velikan. There is going to be a big event going on. This they did something similar to this back in Fortune's Keep Warzone 1, where there is going to be Task Force 1-for-1 versus Shadow Company, and you're going to be able to basically pick a side and choose which one you want to be on. However, you can actually flip between sides, and the winning side is going to get different things like emblems, blueprints, camos, things like that. And it sounds like this will be tracked based off of like which teams are getting more kills, and it'll kind of go on throughout the season. Next, we've got, they're celebrating 50 years of hip hop, and basically that means we are getting the Snoop Dogg operator back. He was, of course, in the end of Warzone 1, so we're getting a new operator for him. And we're getting a Nicki Minaj bundle and a 21 Savage bundle, which his operator is not revealed yet. My guess is they're still finalizing the artwork on it, but got some new. These two are coming in season, and then Snoop Dogg is going to be at launch. Now, here is the movement buffs I was talking about. We are going to be getting a decrease in the amount of time it takes to slide and an increase in the speed of the slide. So basically that when you do your slide, it's going to be quicker and faster. And they're also saying that you're going to be able to fire slightly sooner after initiating a slide. So we'll have to see how big of a difference this is. But hopefully this means we have a new movement mechanic to actually challenge around corners and things like that, instead of just jumping out or just peeking, just peeking out like normal. Hopefully you'll be able to slide out of that corner and maybe try to utilize this in more close range fights as well. Also, there's an increase in the lateral velocity boost while jumping. I think basically what that means is, let's say you're trying to run to the side and jump, you're going to jump a little bit farther and faster. So hopefully jumping around a corner or jumping in close quarters will be more of a useful tactic. There's also supposed to be less of a slowdown penalty when you land from that jump. So again, jumping and sliding should be better to use in movement now. We've also got several new weapons coming. We've got the FR Advancer Assault Rifle, and it sounds like this is basically the FFAR, if you remember that from Cold War Warzone. It's saying it has a blinding fire rate and exceptional maneuverability. So basically it's going to be an AR that's going to be probably more of a close range type AR like the FFAR was, and this will be unlocked via the Battle Pass. Also have a new sniper, the Karak 300, the semi-auto sniper, high fire rate, with great handling and stability. I doubt this is going to be a one-shot sniper. It's probably going to be kind of like a rival to the Signal 50 and be a fast-shooting, easy-to-use sniper. They're also going to be adding skins to throwing knives. Now, this did come on one of the Ghost bundles, but apparently you're going to be able to change this in match now as well. Now, let's talk about weapon balancing here. So this first one, I guess, is going to be for Call of Duty in general, meaning multiplayer and Warzone. And that's just with the Wrap H. And basically, this was a buff to the well, I'm sorry, it was a buff to the damage for semi-auto wrap, but a decrease in the fire rate for it. Now, the rest of these changes are Warzone only, so this does not affect multiplayer. Basically, what they're saying here is that they think the meta is pretty balanced with the exception of the Cronin Squall being too good, and their goal is just to kind of nerf some of those top guns and bring up some of those guns that are weaker. And I'm excited for this because I think they did a pretty good job here. We'll just have to see how much of these changes do take effect. So first, the Chimera did get a small buff. Its mid-range damage got increased. The M13 also got a buff. Headshot multiplier got increased. And I thought the M13 was already in a really, really good spot. So M13 might be one of my top assault rifles that I check out here at the beginning of Season 5. The Cronin Squall sounds like it got a pretty big nerf. So its maximum damage was decreased. That means its long range damage was decreased. However, its minimum damage was increased. That's basically the close range damage. But right after that, basically all of its multipliers were decreased. So ultimately, I think this is going to be a reduction in the time to kill overall for the Cronin. And we'll have to see if it's still top tier or if it's just kind of viable now, but we'll have to see. For LMGs, the HCR got a very small nerf. They decreased the multipliers of its limb damage. So when you're hitting limbs, it's going to be more important to hit chest and headshots. The RAL got a buff to its headshot. RAL might be in a very, very good spot. Moving on to SMGs here. MX9 got a pretty solid buff overall. It's got its mid damage range was increased, and also several multipliers were increased. MX9 has always been very good, but really held back by that 32 round mag it has. But this might be like a top tier solos type SMG. The Minibak finally got a buff, and maybe the Minibak will finally not be the worst SMG in the game. They added a damage step at far range. So I think they're basically saying it'll do better range or better damage at range. Minimum damage was decreased. That means at long range, the TTK is slower. However, its headshot multiplier was increased. So my guess is if you hit a headshot or two, the TTK will become more competitive with some of these other SMGs, but we'll have to see how this one plays out. The Lockman sub, aka the MP5, did get a nerf. They decreased its range at both max damage range and at mid range. So basically, the TTK is not changing up close, but it's going to struggle more at mid to long range. The Vel got a very nice buff, the Vel or the MP7. It's got several of its multipliers got increased, meaning when you're hitting those high damage areas, it's going to do more damage. I think the Vel will definitely be a top tier contender this season. Bass P looks like it got a bit of a buff as well, and that was good. The Bass P really struggled. Maximum damage range or long range damage was increased, and also several of those multipliers were increased. The Fennec got a buff at long range. So maximum damage is its long range damage, and that got increased. I think the Fennec is still going to struggle and probably be under a bad SMG because its close range time to kill is not very good with how small its magazine is. This last little note here, they make a comment about the Signal 50, basically saying that there's a lot of concern from other players, I think especially in ranked, of how good the Signal 50 is. However, their stats are saying it's okay and that they don't need to buff or nerf it, but they're going to continue to monitor the Signal 50. Moving on to equipment, they kind of made a weird adjustment to drill charges. Basically, they're saying that when you stick someone with a drill charge, it'll do less damage. However, they can still die after the explosion. So maybe like if you get stuck, you can still shoot and down someone before you go down from the drill charge, I think is their intention here. An adjustment to the recon drone's health bar will update every time you get into it. They remove the audio from the tactical camera when you're not using it. A few buffs to some perks here. Bomb Squad got a very big buff. If you are fully plated and you get stuck with a Semtex or a drill charge or a thermite, I would assume also, you will not go down. So Bomb Squad is going to become more useful, but really only when you are getting directly stuck with an explosive. Quick Fix had a few small adjustments. They're adding some visual cues when you are shooting someone that's using Quick Fix, meaning if their health is getting healed because of Quick Fix, you're going to know they just had a Quick Fix like fire and help them. And this is just saying if you enter an objective, it's going to trigger that as well. I'm not sure what that would be for Warzone. Maybe like in Lockdown, it's going to trigger Quick Fix. A few adjustments to audio here. They're saying that they're improving the audio balance. For example, the airplane audio will be turned down if you're using game chat, and they're also adding some more alert sounds from pets, apparently. We'll have to see if this makes any big changes to footstep audio, but I'm not really sure. Maybe they're going to turn down some other loud noises, but it doesn't sound like footstep audio is necessarily changing. A few audio bug fixes here. Now, some big changes to the UI, or kind of the, the design of the menu and stuff. And this actually sounds really nice. I can't believe it took them this long to do it. But they're going to make it so if you want to go to multiplayer, you're going to have a big tab here. You'll have a big tab for ground war, for the raid. And then like in Warzone, you'll have your own tab for DMZ, resurgence, battle royale. It just looks like the menu is going to be a little bit easier to move around, which is great because the UI for MW2 and Warzone 2 has been pretty much atrocious, to be completely honest. There's also going to be a skin carousel in the lobby, basically meaning that you can kind of move around and adjust your operators quickly in the lobby if you want to change your operators there. There's also going to be more information added on kill cams. It'll tell you who killed you with what weapon and how many shots it took to kill them. So a little bit more information there. We are getting a new vehicle, but this is specific to Al Mazrah, not going to be in Resurgence. The MRAP. It's basically like kind of like the Big Bertha, but it's got a grenade turret on the front and a machine turret in the back, and the driver can launch smoke grenades. Sounds pretty crazy. The spawns are locked in Battle Royale and DMZ. You need a key to use them, though. And further down, they say the key is $50,000. So apparently these things are like super good and super powerful, and it's going to be like a lot of money to get them. But they sound like they might be kind of broken once you do get them. So we'll have to see. We are getting the dirt bike back finally. This is going to be a very fast and nimble form of rapid transportation. Apparently, there's going to be 9 tricks you can perform, which, I mean, hey, that's cool. Maybe we'll be going around doing backflips on dirt bikes now. There's a bunch of bug fixes here that you can pause here if you want to look. I didn't see anything super major in there when I looked at it earlier. This one was interesting. For both PC and console, they're adding an eco mode that you can turn it on. There's a minimum and there's a full eco mode that basically saying, like, if you're in the menu and you're not in game, it's going to turn your settings way down and just kind of save on power. So if you need to use that and be friendly to the environment, then hey, you can do that. Special ops, this is like the raid, just a few bug fixes here, nothing major. For multiplayer, we are getting a few new maps. We're getting Punta Mar, which is a 6v6 map, which is based from the map Las Almas. This might be the next Warzone map, by the way, for MW3. That is coming later this year. Strike is getting added. Strike is a previous map, I believe, from COD 4. It was a previous favorite of mine, so I'm excited to see this map. A few gunfight maps, uses a small 2v2 maps. It's got Lounge, then we have Canal. For playlist, I'll cover this very briefly. In multiplayer, we've got Havoc, which is a new game mode. Also a big capture the flag, kind of like a ground war 20v20 type mode there. There's several new variants coming for gunfight. There's a lot of bug fixes coming for multiplayer specifically. You're welcome to pause here if you want to look at this, but I didn't see anything super major there. MW2 ranked play. This is for multiplayer again here. The list of restrictions is right here. I won't cover this too much, but one thing I do want to point out is both multiplayer and Warzone is going to have some really cool looking camos for depending on how high you rank. And the top 251 looks really, really nice, which is right there. Now going back to the Warzone section here, they're supposedly improving the quality of life for pings. So pings shouldn't like block stuff as much, and I'm interested to see if that affects live pings, because the live pings have always been weird where they kind of block and over the player you're pinging, but we shall see. This is going to be the playlist update for this week. So we've got Ranked Al Mazrah Solo and Quads, Vondel BR for duos and trios. For Resurgence, we'll have Vondel Quads, Ashika Solos, and then it's going to map rotation for duos and trios. So every 15 minutes, the map rotates there for just duos and trios between Ashika and Vondel. Plunder, and then Lockdown will be available as well. Next week will be a Ashika Quads for Resurgence and a map rotation for solos, duos, and trios. Now going down here, this is going to be the new map, which is Fort Resurgence. This is going to be Resurgence map only, and this is the Al Bagra Fortress that is part of Al Mazrah. It's that island, I think, on the south side of the map, which is also a multiplayer map, and just this area is going to become a Resurgence map. Looks like it'll be a very small, close quarters type map, but we'll have to see how large of an area they include for it. But this is coming later this season, so it won't be available right as of today. Also, Armored Royale is coming. This was a mode in Warzone 1 where you get like your Big Bertha, or for Warzone 2, your MRAP, and you're gonna like buy things and level it up, and you armor it up, and it's basically Battle Royale, but everyone has giant souped up trucks. Moving on here, for all maps and all modes, they are talking about that if you do the play again feature, you will actually be able to see if it is matchmaking or not. So that'll be nice, because it used to be you were just stuck there waiting to see whether or not you're going to get in a match. Champions Quest are saying you have to hold all available elements to progress the timer to the next one. This one I'm very surprised at them doing, and if you are a big map player, you might be upset at this. They are decreasing the player count from 150 all the way down to 100 on Al Mazrah, but ranked will still remain at 150 for now. However, in this next paragraph, they're saying they're making it easier to get bot back. They did this kind of in Caldera. There's lots of ways to get bot back in the game. There's redeploys. The buybacks are getting knocked down from 4,000 to 3,000. So they're saying it's going to make, pacing better. They're going to make the circles faster, but very interested to see how feedback is received for that. Some new features coming for all zones. Some of these have already been in the game, though, like the favorite supply box, the reinforcement flare, all those things. Really nothing new there. The MRAP, like I said, talked earlier, this is how it's $50,000 to buy a key at a buy station to be able to use it. Got the dirt bike, which we talked about also. A few adjustments to buy station cost here. And it sounds like they're adjusting the placement of buy stations just for Al Mazrah. There is a new Vondel Champions Quest, or a Vondel nuke, and it does have a really cool looking MP5 skin, I'll be honest. However, it sounds like a similar concept to how it worked in Al Mazrah. I would assume 5 win streak, but on the nuke, the elements are going to be very different and have different effects compared to what they did in Al Mazrah. Now, again, we talk about the adjustments to Bomb Squad. This was basically the same thing we talked about earlier. Buybacks are being reduced from 3K to 4K, but this does not apply in ranked player. I'm sorry, 4K to 3K. The portable redeploy, they're making it faster, basically. You're going to go up faster. You're going to have better mobility. So that'll be cool because it was pretty slow to use. Talked about this earlier. Al Mazrah circles are getting sped up and faster, but this does not apply to rank. This is only for pubs. Circle sizes are going to be smaller as well, again, for just Al Mazrah. Circle placement for Vondel should be more centered, which is good because some of those zones are way off to the side and it forces the map in one small area. So I'm excited for that change. Apparently, they're going to fix some issues with the reinforcement flare and make sure it actually works more. There's a win streak tracker for your battle royale. So like if you're trying to do the nuke, you can actually now see what win streak you're on, which is nice. Similar to how they added a total plate count. Now you're going to be able to see your total ammo count, which will be nice again, because that way if you're carrying multiple stacks, you know how much ammo you have in total. Also, another thing that they added in Warzone 1 that they're finally bringing to Warzone 2 is the total squad cash. So it'll add up all your money from your teammates and tell you how much cash you have. That way you don't have to do math and figure out if you have enough money to buy a loadout. This is the Season 5 Warzone rank stuff here. I'll cover this kind of quickly here. They are disabling the MRAP, though, and some gun restrictions right there. They are increasing how much SR you get on wins, but I did want to cover that again. These blueprints or camos are going to be available in Warzone Ranked if you make it to those like top 250, iridescent, all those things. A few bug fixes here that didn't see anything super major there. DMZ changes. I'm not a big DMZ player, but I will cover this very briefly. There's a new disguise where you can disguise as an AI or the combatant guy. There's a battle revive, which sounds like a super self revive, also paired with like a battle rage. There's a self revive box where you can drop a box like an armor box, but it pops out a bunch of self revives for your whole squad. There's a scuba gas mask, which is like a rebreather and a gas mask all in one. So that'll be kind of cool. New missions, friendly fire. Apparently there's going to be some friendly AI coming to DMZ, but if you shoot at them, they will shoot back. So don't shoot them. Again, some other small adjustments and then some bug fixes. So there you have it. So overall, I'm pretty excited about this. If you found this helpful and informational, consider leaving a like and subscribing. I will definitely be trying to find what the next, best meta guns are. If you guys need settings, tips to get better, all of that stuff is on my channel, and we'll be live streaming later today the update here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.